What up, YouTube fans? This is Zuby Masters returning to my Let's Play of Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. A lot of books and other mysteries, items stuff from the shelf. Genre and types of items are also random. Can't make sense of them whatsoever.
Well?
They say a shelf is a mirror that reflects a person's heart. Do they? I definitely know how much about Nagito just by looking at this. So what should we do? It's difficult to look through all these files. That doesn't mean we should ignore it though.
Yep.
I'll leave it to you then, Hajime. Wait, what? It's better if a boy goes through another boy's things, you know. There might be private stuff here. That might be true, but... So I'll leave this shelf to you. I got this way to do this without realizing. I decided and walked towards the shelf. One by one I started removing the various books and items and examining each one. But even as I examined them carefully, there were still a bunch of random books and items. There's no way any clues. That file wasn't the only thing I received from Mark. This is another seal. It's the badge of Hope Deep Academy. Information about our stolen memories. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any clues about that. The file doesn't contain our information, just Hajime's. That was from the reserve. That might be another one. I opened the file I realized something was strange. If this really has only my information, then why is this file so thick? As I opened it, was clear to me just as I thought. Nagito had lied to me. Aside from the information, there was information about the others. Kazuichi, Fu, Yohiko, Akane, and everyone who died had pages of information about them too. On all 16 of us. Only my information, my ass. I can't believe he made up such a strange lie. That means the rest of it might be a lie too. I didn't continue my information and began reading through the my birth, my height, weight, and so forth. But there was one thing that specifically caught my eye. The word reserve course student. There's no denying it's confirmed that I truly was a reserve course in the reserve department. Why is this the only thing that isn't a lie? Why am I the only one who's from the reserve department? Why am I here along with all the other ultimates?
Hey.
Hajime, did something happen? Well, I found a strange file. It's not the special prize Nagito received when he cleared the final dead room. As I recall, your student profiles have been there. Not just my profile, the profile of everyone on the assignments are in here too. Nagito is lying.
Huh?
When you said everyone, do you mean everyone? Yeah, this was the basic information, but there should be profiles on all 16 of us. Can you take a look at it?
You're right. My profile is really in here. But unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any details.
Details?
Details about our missing memories. Information about the time we spent at Hope's Peak Academy. If it's not written in there, these profiles might have been written before we entered the academy.
And it's impossible to obtain new clues from them.
Yeah, seems like it.
Hold on.
Huh?
What happened? Just that I noticed right away, but...
The file. His name isn't in there, right? There's supposed to be 16 names worth of profiles. And his name is the only one missing, right?
Who are you talking about?
Byakuya. I'm talking about Byakuya Togame. Look carefully. No matter where I look, I don't see his name anywhere.
No way!
So if the name isn't written in that file, perhaps based on that you think he might be the traitor? No, it's not just because his name isn't written on here. That's not the only reason I think he's suspicious. He participated in the killing school life at Hope Peak Academy, right? For someone like him to be in a similar situation on the sideline, no matter what, it's definitely suspicious. Well, it pains me to say this, but what you're saying about the missing name and all about the killing spree,
Too bad.
it's totally wrong. They're a completely different reason. A different reason.
You're getting all riled up.
You guys have been getting all worked up about that Byakuya for no reason, which means the great mystery that you think surrounds that Byakuya doesn't exist. You're basing it on one person's cheap speculation. What do you mean?
What the heck?
You're not that me that you know the answer just by looking through these profiles, right? If I want to start flipping through the pages and confirming the names. The page that was filled with question marks. Every section is filled with a question mark. It seemed barely considered a student profile. Now in one ultimate imposter. That's Byakuya's true identity. He's a fake. He was pretending to be the ultimate affluent prodigy Byakuya Togami. Fake?
Hey,
The fact his profile is filled with question marks isn't a mistake or an oversight. Surprisingly enough, that's the correct information regarding him. The ultimate imposter has no name, no permanent address, and even his age and gender is unknown. Basically, he doesn't exist. Because he doesn't exist, he's able to exist as anybody. That's his talent. Though I'm not jealous of that at all. That person wasn't really Byakuya Togami?
Perhaps.
Is that why he was so much fatter compared to when he was involved in this killing school?
so
His
cool.
physique doesn't affect his ability to fool others at all. Real imposters are skilled like that. And then he was lying to us this whole time.
But still.
But he couldn't help it. What? Why couldn't he help it?
Oh.
Because that was his talent. Well, having talent means you're also bound to that talent. The moment you attain talent, the way of life has already been chosen for you. You couldn't do anything else except rely on that talent, regardless of whether you want that life or not. In that sense, compared to the other ultimates, your life might not be too Lord liberating. What the hell?
Anyway,
I'm not happy that you guys fell for a scam that I had nothing to do with.
that's right.
So I'll tell you straight up, this revelation about Byakuya is exactly the truth. Then, that was he trying to say to me that time? I cannot talk to the others about my past. I suspect that my skeptical nature is partly to blame. Disturbing others and becoming distrusted in turn for a long time, my life has been a living hell. Based on the context, if I had to guess,
No.
maybe he was just complaining that he was cursed to wander the earth as nothing more than a fraud. But if you guys had your school memories, you never would have been betrayed in the first place. I mean, it'd be difficult if you were meeting him for the first time. But since you guys went to Hope Peak Academy, you should know about the ultimate imposter already. So in the end, it all leads back to memory loss. The Future Foundation sure is awful. There's no way you could ignore Monami or the traitor. Who is it? Who is the traitor? Just from looking at these 16 profiles, I still wouldn't know who's from the Future Foundation. Is there really something like that?
Of course.
Well, obviously you wouldn't know. I made that file so you guys couldn't find out.
Could it be?
So, it's just as I thought. You're the one who did it.
Hey,
In fact, there are 16 profiles, and there's... I mean, the traitor is a spy sent by the Future Foundation, not a student from Hope Peak Academy. You made a fake profile for the traitor and included it here?
correct.
It wouldn't be fun if you figured out who the traitor was so easily, right?
Hey.
Then we couldn't use this file to figure out who the traitor is. That was the truth for Nagito too, right? Well, probably. Dripping with despair, isn't it? You wasted your precious time on something that isn't a
Are
clue.
you sure about this?
Is that a wise decision? Time's up, you know. Time's up. Wait!
Bye-bye.
Excuse me for a moment. That chime just now.
What is most important for living things? Well, personally, I think time is. I mean, your bank account may go up and down, but time will inevitably run out, right? That's why we gotta cherish time. There is nothing more wasteful than wasting time. So, time's up. We will begin the last class trial. So please gather at Monokuma Rock. I'll see you soon.
Last class trial. He said that, right? He said last class trial?
Yep.
I heard it too. He really did say it was the last class trial. What do you think we should believe him? Monokuma seems anxious about the Monokuma tire earlier, right? 2 more days. And he said something about killing school trip ending, right? Based on the time limit, this might definitely be the last
But
one.
still.
Imagine that it's the real end. I think Monokuma's real plan might be just beyond that. His real plan. Is Monokuma still planning to make us do something? What could it be? Maybe after putting us through all this, he's planning to kill the remaining survivors all at once.
Well?
But still, it's also not a good idea to think about it too much, I think. I think we should focus on the class trial that's waiting for us first. Hey, you're right. I'm probably screwed. Pretty screwed. I haven't collected my thoughts because we were so focused on this fire. I still can't see who killed Nagito.
But still.
Well, you don't have to worry so much. Huh?
Right?
I mean, we're not fighting this alone, you know. Right. You're absolutely right. We're not alone. Even if it's a mystery that can't be solved alone, as long as everyone cooperates and works together.
Damn right.
Looks like everyone's here.
Huh?
Is this it? Shouldn't there be more people?
Damn it.
Stop it, you're making me depressed. Stupid fool! You're making me depressed. So, is it going to happen again? But once we're through this, we can go back, right?
That's right.
That Monokuma bastard said so, didn't he? He said this is the last class.
Damn it.
But we've been tricked every step of the way. There's no way I can believe that, so
Of course not.
why can't you believe it? That guy who's making us do all this is the one saying it, you know?
You know, right?
I can definitely survive him. If we can really go home after we deal with this clash
That's
plot,
right.
I'll definitely find out who the killer is, no matter what, even if I have to pull out all this stuff. What the fuck? Why are you here? You haven't realized it yet? The feeling of wanting to leave this island? Thinking like that is Monokuma's trap, you know?
Huh?
What are you saying?
Got it?
There's no way Monokuma will end things here. He's planning something far worse. Stop trying to jinx it.
I'll beat you up!
Damn right, stupid rabbit. Just shut up. Everyone, you mustn't run away from despair. I have finally realized after losing my power. I've realized that cursing your powerlessness nor your fate accomplishes the possibility may be small, but as long as there's a possibility, you must face it in order to become someone who can be proud of yourself. So I will fight.
Huh?
What's her deal? I do not really know, but she seemed different from before. Maybe she read a self-help book,
Wait.
but her eyes look so determined.
You.
What can you tell by looking at those eyes? Anyway, make sure you turn off Minimaru. It'd be annoying if he started talking during the trial.
But still.
Somehow I understand what Monami was saying, I think. Anyway, let's get going to the class trial.
Yep.
Right, we need to fight as much as we can. Or what hopeless truth awaits us in the end. I kept saying these words to myself over and over within my mind. I enter Monokuma Rock.
Yeah.
It's the elevator ride. This is the last time those two, right? I hope so.
Well,
Let's worry about things after we finished.
you are right.
More importantly, we must focus on the clash trial before us.
Damn it.
Killer managed to kill someone like Nagito. There's no way this is gonna go smoothly. I mean, I still can't believe one of us was able to Then the door opened slowly. The bright light greeted us. Is that the light of hope or the light of despair?
Well now.
Now that the chatterbox Nagito is gone, there are only 6 of you.
Shut the hell up!
No, just fucking start this already.
Hey!
Yeah, this is right. This is really the last trial, right?
Yep.
It sure is. So you gotta show your enthusiasm. Make sure you give it your all.
All right!
Didn't I tell you? You said it. This is the end.
Now then.
Let's get this
Viva
trial.
killing!
This is the last class trial. Let's show some enthusiasm and kill each other. This is the 5th class trial. According to Monokuma, this is also the last class trial. That curtain is about to rise. Nagito, the ultimate lucky student. When I first met him, I thought he was a nice guy. He came across very sociable. But his true nature held such a demented thought process that was nothing like his outward appearance. He said he believes in hope more than anything else. He says he was yearning for a powerful hope that can overcome any despair. He said he would even help despair just to prove that hope will never lose to despair. He said he'd become the stepping stone for hope. His way of thinking was completely screwed up, but there's also times he saved us too. Something like him was killed. It was the end of him. I have no idea who did it, but there's no way we can end this without knowing. It will come to consume. That's why we absolutely have to find out. The person who finished off Nagito. The killer who murdered Nagito. In order to return this despair alive, we need to reach the truth. And if Monokuma says this is really the class trial, that's all the more reason we need to do this. And so, the life-threatening trial fills with hope and despair. The last trial has begun.
Now then, let's begin with a simple explanation of the class trial. During the class trial, you will present your arguments for who the killer is and vote for who done it. If you vote correctly, then only the blackened will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong person, I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and that person will earn the right to leave this island. Oh my, Monami? My cute little sister? You're awfully quiet. What happened to you? You've ascended the ladder of adulthood and reached the moon because you're a rabbit? Yes, no! One more time! Please! How about this one? This will be my final blow! It's useless.
Please stop! I feel bad for Monomi.
You're right. Now is not the time for me to horse around with Monami. The class trial has started, after all. The victim this time is Nagito, who is attempting to reveal the traitor for everyone's sake. Who in the world killed him? I'm so curious.
If he was killed for trying to reveal the traitor, that traitor is obviously the killer. They were trying to shut Nagito up. No, that might not be it. Huh? Are you trying to protect the traitor? They didn't call out when we were in danger. Don't tell me you're the traitor. You're so stupid. There's no way in hell I'm the traitor.
Now that's more like it. Why don't
killer didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body is covered with wounds...
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up. What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place. If so, the suspect is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko. I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone. The killer didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds...
It's because the...
No, that's wrong!
But Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess anything. If he was being tortured for information, he wouldn't have taped his mouth like that.
I'm prepared. I just realized it. It's a trap.
Trap?
Hajime, you got caught in that trap. Like you said, if Nagito's mouth was taped shut, you'd obviously assume he couldn't talk, right? But that was the trap. He wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
Pay attention. This is how it went. First, the killer tortured and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him, they duct taped his mouth shut. Pay attention. This is how it went down. First, the killer tortured Nagito and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him, allow me to
Cut through those words!
No, there's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was done.
What did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape? Might as well settle this with rock, paper, scissors. We don't need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even began.
Why do you always side with Hajime? You have a crush on him or something?
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's mouth, right? The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds. Which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth. He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the duct tape.
Perhaps the duct tape was used so he wouldn't be able to scream. Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth, they did not need to hurt him with such ferocity.
They probably had a deep grudge against Nagito.
Then, are you saying the killer was trying to make him suffer? If so, it's friggin' crazy. Did they go psycho or something?
No, they didn't just go crazy. Whoever did this must be one crafty bastard. If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime scene and destroy all the evidence.
The warehouse fire was for destroying evidence?
We can't think of any other reason.
But who could have done that? When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse. Yeah, and right after I opened the warehouse door, the flames started burning from the very back. Which means it is plausible to think that nobody here set the fire.
The killer isn't one of us. But that's not the case, huh? I mean, it's wishful thinking.
Even if it was only a coincidence, the timing was just too perfect.
Based on the pattern up until now, we should suspect that some kind of setup was used for this. Some kind of setup? Like what? I do not know that, but that has been the pattern before.
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an amazingly high intellect. Alrighty then. Let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia thinks. Is that okay, Miss Sonia?
Damn right it is! The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
The killer used some kind of setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter. Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way? Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
Or perhaps opening the door caused.
I agree with that!
I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I thought, it was the wind pressure. A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan!
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect? You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second. And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right?
I see!
I see.
You're talking about the MP3 player, right? That hymn blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
Nagito like listening to this depressing crap. No, I'm not talking about the music. As if on cue it started.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
So the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter.
Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
But the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
I see! If the panel was so close to the door that it could barely be opened, the killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know.
Based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
You don't mean...
Hajime? What do you mean?
This is my answer! What if it was Nagito?
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Huh?
Not just the victim? What does that mean?
He was the victim, and he was the perpetrator too. Maybe.
Are you saying this was a suicide? Don't be stupid. His body was covered in torture wounds. Or did you already forget? Are you saying those were all self-inflicted?
But Nagito might do something like that, don't you think?
That's not the issue. He was tied up, remember? Even for a creep like Nagito, it'd be impossible for him to tie up his own arms and legs.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. as long as you understand.
It seems we need to discuss how Nagito was able to tie himself up.
Need to discuss? That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible. To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free...
It'd be impossible! Crap! To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible. Self. To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible.
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be...
You couldn't do much with the free... It'd be impossible. How about if you... Or if you use your front... Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
To actually tie up. No, that's wrong.
Hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
I see.
Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all. Wouldn't you agree? A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely, right?
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
That's definitely wrong.
Fine. I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
it's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand. Ah, that much is obvious.
Hajime, you tricked me. Give me back that Benjamin.
Hold on. There should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it.
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow and slammed his right hand down on it?
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand.
If you're tied up, your arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand. Even if Nagito's right hand was free,
How could he stab his right? If he threw the knife and let the knife, could he stab his hand? Is he a throwing knife expert? Maybe he propped.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
A life-sized Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach. He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up. Then he slammed his hand onto it. If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie.
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife into his own right hand.
I see. So that's the trick.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
A bleeding plushie is super scary. It's got the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long.
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point.
He probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem. The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear, right? If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito. If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand.
There is a limit to his constitution. If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Say it one more time. I need you recorded. For reasons.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out!
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear. It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stabbed into your right hand while your left hand is tied up.
So you're saying it's impossible?
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else.
I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
You say you can't believe it? You just don't want to believe it, right? But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone. If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Monomi sassing me!
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far, so... This might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course that doesn't include Miss Sonia and me.
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible. I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
What kind of way?
I don't know.
You don't know.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together. That's how we made it this far up till now.
Everyone working together.
All right, let's do this.
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through.
When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand. If that's the case, the only other way is...
He used his teeth? Or maybe he used his front tail. I know guys have tails that get hard when they're grabbed.
What are you saying?
The blushing Miss Sonia is freaking awesome!
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through.
When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand. If that's the case, the only other way is...
He used his teeth? Or maybe he used his front tail. I know guys have tails that get hard when they're grabbed.
What are you saying?
The blushing Miss Sonia is freaking awesome!
How
How did Nagito stab it? Let's work together. When the spear stabbed his right hand
Was covered by the knife.
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules it.
Well, that's it for this video. Hope you like it and stay tuned.